to the Overcast Gamer Show. We are doing a very special episode this time around. It is the OCG Awards, the coveted OCG Awards that we do every year, also known as the Windies at some point. And boy, do we have a
coveted. Good.
Boy, do we have a doozy this year for you folks. We have 10 categories that we're going to go through and to give out an award to each one. The 10 categories can be found on the social media channels. I will also read them out. We have the weirdest thing, biggest overall shit show, the Sterlington Award for best use of bad weather, the Ship Came Into the Harbour Award for best port or remaster, biggest Hideo Kojima move not pulled by Hideo Kojima, the Dodgy Posty Award for over-delivering in almost all areas, the Feast of Frisian Award for most enchanting soundscape, strangest games, media, or PR moment, most baffling business decision, and outstanding achievement in the field of excellence, aka Game of the Year. So I think we're just going to crack on straight into it, boys. Weirdest thing. We have 3 nominees for this. Yeah, thank you for that. 3 nominees for weirdest thing. They are Nintendo Labo. Just in general. Labo, my god, every time. Every time. Nintendo Labo. Pokemon Let's Go, just in general. Yes, thank you. Nintendo Labo. Pokemon Let's Go. People suing Epic Games for in-game dances. These are, I mean, out of context, this must just sound mad. Absolutely insane. All these things.
When you read them out like that, it's just like, what are these things? Like, yeah. Let's dig into each one a little bit now.
Yeah.
So now that it's written like that, it's hard to say it properly. Nintendo Labo. So let's explain Nintendo Labo. So Nintendo Switch came out. Everyone was like, "Wow, this is a great console. This is awesome." Nintendo Labo is a cardboard-based peripheral set for Nintendo, where you can build a cardboard thing, like a fishing rod or what's another example? I think there's a bike one.
A car steering wheel with a
car steering wheel.
A mech suit.
Yep, the robot. I remember seeing someone using that,
Built out of cardboard, and the Switch slots into the cardboard, and then you play with it in some way. Classic Nintendo, but it's almost like, I'm trying to imagine how they came up with that, and it's almost like they had sort of a weekend away with a few of the Nintendo people, and they just got super high, and were like, what if we just made shit out of cardboard? And,
and then
they were like...
The Google cardboard guy has since left Google and now works at Nintendo as well. His influence is obvious.
Yeah. It's just the strangest thing. I do wonder, like, who's buying it, all of that sort of thing. What do you guys take on Nintendo Labo?
I love it. I definitely don't hate it. I love that it's out there. It's an odd thing, completely unpredictable as per usual, Nintendo. But I think it's amazing because you get to. It sort of follows the ideology of Lego, right? It's the same sort of thing. Like, build something, have some fun. And I think that's a great tenet, and I think that's only to be encouraged. I saw a lot of people having fun with that at EGX this year. A lot of people looking like Muppets. It was awesome. Everyone had a great big smile on their face. It's a strange thing, but I'm glad it exists.
Nice. Cool. Next on the list.
Any thoughts on Labo before we move on?
Nah, it's good that it exists as a product. I don't care.
That's pretty much my thoughts too, really. Pokemon Let's Go. Now, what's the deal with this one?
So, the weird thing about this is actually the business practice behind this game. The fact that you buy this game and then that's it, you never pay for anything in the game again. Despite the fact that in the game, the catching mechanic is based around catching the best possible Pokemon. So in older games, you guys have probably heard the term but don't necessarily know what it is. IV training, where It's all about getting the best innate passive stats within your Pokemon, which are always like hidden, and there's various ways you can find out what they are. In Let's Go, they made them completely public. They're like, here's the IV stats, and it actually gives you a star ranking for your Pokemon, like out of 5 stars, how good is this Pokemon? How strong is it going to become? And you get stronger IV stats by catching the same Pokemon in a chain. And the higher the chain, the more likely you are to get one with perfect stats. So if you catch a Pokemon that's got 4 out of 5 stats perfect, and you've been catching 100 in a row, because if you then encounter a Pokemon that's not the same, you break that chain and you have to start again. Or if it runs away and you fail to catch it, chain breaks and you've got to start at 1 again. So if you get to a point where you got 4 out of 5 perfect stats, 100 of the same Pokemon in a row, perfect opportunity for them to be like, $2, we'll nudge that last stat to perfect for you.
Yeah.
Didn't do it. Like, literally, it's a full platform version of Pokemon Go, which is microtransaction to hell, and Nintendo was like, nah, we have integrity. That's weird in today's day and age.
That is the weirdest thing. Yeah.
That is very strange. And the final nominee, people suing Epic Games for in-game dances. This was... I still can't believe this is a real thing. So Fortnite obviously taken the world by storm this year and last year. And you buy dances, emotes, sort of thing in the game. Epic Games has programmed a bunch of these dances into the games, which have been ripped off, I suppose.
Appropriated, perhaps?
Appropriated, yeah, maybe a better term. Probably better for our legal department. Appropriated by celebrities and YouTubers and things like that. People who've made these dances in Epic Games has put them into the game without giving any sort of reparations to the people who created the dances. It's a very strange thing. I can't even really get my head around what this means for society.
It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. It's like, there's a thing in music where they talk about music kind of legal cases where they're trying to decide whether or not something's been ripped off or not are really challenging, because it's like, how can you copyright a series of pitches?
Yeah,
it's so kind of arbitrary. To me, like, a dance move is the same, right? It's just a physical
dance move is
movement,
even less, I'd say, than music, because at least with music, like, it is the product. Like, the music is the product. Dance is not a product. Anyone can dance. It's literally kinetic movement of your body. You can't copyright or claim ownership of the way my brain sends signals to my muscles. Like, that's not you. You don't own that at all. That's me. Like, it's fucking stupid. We're not talking John Key literally stealing Eminem's music for for an ad. We're talking a 3D model doing a sequence of movement. Like, no, nobody owns dancing. It's stupid. If anything, it's an homage to those creators of the dance. To be like, hey, you did this cool thing. We're going to honor that by putting it in our game. I'd say there's got to be zero grounds whatsoever for any of these cases.
It's a strange one. I think the highest profile person who's come out and want some reparations for this is the actor for Carlton Banks from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They've put a bunch of the Carlton dances, or maybe the Carlton dance, into Fortnite.
Which again,
that's the one. That's the one.
If you can find clips on YouTube of shows that did that dance first. He didn't make that up. That's not his dance. That was a dance at the time that he did.
Right.
So again, like, you can't claim ownership of a dance.
Yeah, I mean, Regan, I think you put it best, and I think it almost wraps up this award, really. You said, it's the weirdest thing, which is the name of the category. I mean, my vote is for this dance malarkey.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
I think so
it's
too.
ridiculous. It's absolutely... This is weird Black Mirror shit. I don't know, man. It's very strange.
Yep.
Congratulations. The winner of Weirdest Thing goes to people suing Epic Games for in-game dances. That just sounds strange even saying that. I don't know what's happened to the world. Next award we have is Biggest Overall Shit Show. We have 4 nominees for this. We have Bethesda, nominated various times throughout these awards, for Fallout 76, and nominated for everything surrounding Fallout 76. We have Konami for Metal Gear Survive. We have Rockstar Games and A Tale of the 100-Hour Work Week. We have Sony, and that is for moving people around during their E3 conference. So let's dig into these a wee bit, boys. Bethesda and Fallout 76. Ooh, where to start on this one?
I think a good place to start with Fallout 76 is actually, well, I guess it sort of starts with the fact that they have this ultimate edition of the game. And in that ultimate edition, you get, the usual sort of like in-game tat and some stuff. But this ultimate edition came with what was advertised and was pictured quite clearly as a canvas carry bag for the power armor head thing that you get. Yeah. And if you've been following it all, you'll know the story. But it turned up and it wasn't a canvas bag. It was like a cheap, shitty nylon plastic bag. And so that was just the start of it. Then the real shitty thing was like how they actually handled it. They didn't go, oh, we're sorry, we'll replace them or whatever. They did this thing where they tried to cover it up. They didn't say sorry, and it was just a shit show.
They blamed a canvas shortage.
They blamed a canvas shortage.
Yeah. They were like, no, we couldn't source the materials for the canvas bag.
So we didn't replace it with something. We didn't apologize. We didn't tell you anything. We just replaced it with a shitty nylon thing. The game's rubbish. Oh my god. It's just such a shit show. Such a shit show. Oh.
Can't hear you, Abe.
Check 1 2 1 2.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
You hear me? All right, cool. I'm not sure what happened there. Regan, sounds like you've just been to church with that one. It sounds like that's been something that's been on your mind for a while.
It's been years. It's been years of pent up frustration with Bethesda, I think, and this to me is just, it's just come to a head in such a spectacularly shit show way that, like, how do people still have faith in Bethesda? It just boggles my mind. It really does. Yeah.
They basically made all the wrong moves with this with this situation, right? It's just, man, I don't know who's to blame. Like the PR, it's not really the PR, is it? Is the management, is it Pete Hines? I don't know who to get mad at. It's like, I'm not sure. It's just an overall shit show. It's an overall shit show. We have Konami with Metal Gear Survive. I don't know a huge amount about this one, but they're taking a property that I'm very much in love with, Metal Gear Solid even, and beating it. It's been dead for a while. It's been dead since Kojima revealed those lost chapters from Metal Gear Solid 5 that he never got to properly render and put into the game. Metal Gear has been dead. To bring out this microtransaction riddled nonsense that's just grindy as hell, and it doesn't resemble Metal Gear. The Metal Gear that I know and love is a slap in the face. And I think everyone hated it. I don't know a single person who liked this game. I don't know anyone. I haven't seen any critics who like this game. It hasn't been praised at all. I think it's just shite, and Konami needs to stop doing anything, really. They just need to stop.
They just need to I don't know how that even happens. They just go bankrupt, I suppose.
Yep.
Everyone loses money on their shares.
Just keep just keep making pachinko machines. That's okay, but please stop destroying childhood memories or even teenage memories. Metal Gear's been a big pillar of my life for quite a while, and Silent Hill and Metal Gear, every time I see those appear in a free to play game or a pachinko machine, or a little part of me dies. So yeah, not happy with Konami about that one. We have Rockstar Games and the Tale of the 100-Hour Work Week. Now, this was a shit show. I would say because of the timing. Red Dead 2 was at peak hype, I would say, when this happened. It was just before, probably 3-4 weeks, maybe a month before it came out, or 3 weeks before it came out. And the story broke that how Red Dead 2 was getting made was that people were being forced to work 100 hours a week.
Well, see, this is the thing, and I think part of how this was handled was part of why this was a shit show, is because it sounded like it was just a kind of a cursory comment in an interview sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I think it was the backpedaling that happened, where they were like, no, it's not everyone. We don't expect everyone to be working 100-hour work weeks. It's just the four of us who do all of the top creative stuff, or
the
whatever
senior writing staff, right, is what he said. I think.
Yeah, something like that. And it's because we want to be there and we want to be doing the best, and we don't expect. But everyone's like, I don't know, it was that sort of thing. And I guess part of the shit show as well is that just there's people out there that are flogging themselves to this kind of extent for games. Like,
It definitely opened the Pandora's box on games development and how grueling it is, and how relentless some of the management and middle management can be on developers and things like that. There was also the whole thing with, when the story broke, it was Jason Schreier from Kotaku who broke that, and then was it Sam or Dan Houser? One of the Houser brothers made that comment about, it's just the writing staff, and then Schreier dug in a bit deeper and had all these sort of little interviews with anonymous people from Rockstar who were describing how toxic the culture is there, how the management were like, you don't have to work, but it would be nice if you did, sort of thing, like, really manipulative sort of shit, and it just spiraled. Went really bad, and then everyone forgot about it because Red Dead 2 came out.
And it was good. Yeah.
No one cared anymore. But overall, Rockstar lost a lot of clout. And in my eyes, I definitely reconsidered them. I was like, and then there was the whole, do we buy Red Dead 2? Do we boycott Rockstar? I was like, no, if you don't buy it, then all this work these people have put in is for nothing. So buy it, because they'll get a bonus. Like, do it. It's just where I suppose the only thing we can... the silver lining with this is that people's eyes are a bit more open to that sort of stuff now. So but definitely a shit show there. The final nomination we have for this one is Sony PlayStation, SIE, and their E3. Basically, their whole the format of their E3 press conference this year was insane. Like, I remember. Were we watching it live together? I can't remember, or we had a message chain going or something like that. But I remember people being like, "Why is there a Black Ops 4 commercial 10 minutes into the Sony E3 conference?" And it was because they were moving everyone into another tent.
And that moment where it kind of just cut to that guy and Sean Layden talking, and it was like, wait, is it finished? It was. Is this post show now? Like, it's been like 20 minutes. Like, what's going on here?
It was like a sportscast, right? It was like a post game dissection or something. It sort of took that format, but I was like, it's only been like 10 minutes. Where's the rest of the damn show? I was like, oh no, the logistics of moving hundreds of people from a Last of Us decorated tent into a Ghost of Tsushima decorated tent is much more complex than originally thought. It's
just a baffling idea. Why wouldn't you just do it all in the one area and somehow just change that space you're in, like any normal people would do?
I can sort of see why they did it, because as they mentioned, they didn't have much to show. Obviously, these games are works in progress, and they only have a small vertical slice to show. and they couldn't stretch that out to a full hour presser, or no, 2 hours usually, Sony, an hour and a half, something like that. So they couldn't stretch that out. But man, after all the, like, they've had some of the best press conferences of E3 history in the last 2 years, not counting this year, and then to go from that to this is a hell of a nosedive. Like,
yeah,
it's really
big old
really
shit
bad.
show.
Yeah. So where do you guys land? What do you think? Is it Bethesda, Konami, Rockstar, or Sony?
It gotta be Bethesda for me. Gotta be.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you on that, Regan. Like, it started off bad. It didn't look great. Like, literally, the game didn't look great, and the situation also did not look great. And then it just went worse and worse and worse. Like,
And it hasn't gotten better either. It's
No.
still a shit show.
it hasn't healed. Balthazar, where do you come down on these, man?
I mean, it's 2v1. My initial thoughts coming into it were Bethesda. It was my nominee as well. But actually, just as a comment on the industry as a whole being a bit of a joke and a shit show at the moment, my vote's actually for Rockstar Games. The fact that everyone just immediately forgave and forgot all this because the game came out and it was good, I think shows what a shit show just the industry and media coverage within the industry is in at the moment.
Yeah, man, I agree, and it's not just really games either, is it? It's kind of everything. It's just kind of how society is. Everyone just peaks on trends and then just forgets about them, no matter the consequences, sort of thing, or what they've unveiled. So yeah, I don't know. It's probably a more widespread issue. But yeah, I guess it's 2. Bethesda, congratulations, Fallout 76. Biggest shit show of the year, Fallout 76.
Well
we
done,
move
Bethesda.
into the Sterlington Award for Best Use of Bad Weather. Now, this is a portmanteau of where you guys are located, where I'm located. Obviously, Wellington and Stirling. Both places not known for having amazing weather. And it's a returning award because, obviously, we're Overcast Gamer. We're keeping true to that, and we appreciate good use of weather, especially bad weather or sort of meh weather. So we enjoy that. So we have 3 nominees for this category. We have Monster Hunter World, The Elder Dragons. Balthazar, this is all you, man. I'm not too sure about this one. You want to tell us a bit about this?
So yeah, Monster Hunter World itself didn't really have use of weather. It was just Elder Dragons which created their own kind of weather when you fought them. So for example, there was one called Kushala Daora, which would just create cyclones around itself so that if you tried to shoot it with a bow or whatever, your arrows would just be carried away, and then it would like dive bomb you from out of the cyclones so that you couldn't hit it properly. And like Kirin called down thunderstorms. Behemoth comets aren't really weather. But yeah, they all the Elder Dragons created their own biome where they lived, basically. Like where they lived changed based on which one was there to have like harsh weather conditions based on that dragon's element. And that was cool because it did drastically affect the gameplay as well. So yeah.
That's awesome. That immediately reminds me of Pokemon and the old school. You know, you go into Articuno's Ice Cave or Moltres Volcano, that sort of stuff. That's awesome. I didn't know that was in Monster Hunter World. We also have Red Dead Redemption 2, specifically for snow deformation and soft lantern light. Regan, you nominated Red Dead 2. I went into the weird wanky details because these are the things that stuck out to me. But do you just want to sort of tell us why you nominated Red Dead 2, man?
So I think it's because the opening of the game is where this is used in full flight, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's easily the best snow I've seen in a game. And you know, there's examples of snow deformation in many video games, but this is, you know, this is really impressive stuff, and it's kind of I guess for me it set the tone really well at the start of the game. Like, it was quite claustrophobic. You could see that the lighting was going to be phenomenal the whole way through. It was a struggle. Your gang was at the lowest point that they would be at, in a way. And it sort of, I don't know, it set the tone really well. The lantern light was beautiful. and it was just a cool opening to the game, and gave you a really good sense of sort of what they had achieved, I think, on the platforms that they were on. I just thought it was great. I was just kind of agape. My mouth was agape for the first 40 minutes of that game. Struggling through the snow. Yeah.
I think I agree with that. The intro to that game is pretty incredible, and it sets the mood well. With that weather, I remember specifically. I mean, the internet was going wild about snow deformation, and people were obviously drawing dicks in it because that's what everyone does nowadays in the snow. But the snow deformation, I mucked around with that for a while, and that is amazing. I don't know how they've done that. It doesn't look like a mesh or anything like that. I don't know what's going on, what sort of witchcraft is going on behind the scenes there, but it's so good. And the lanterns, because you're carrying lanterns at the start of that game quite a bit through houses, through the snow. They nailed that feeling of soft lantern light, especially in Europe. I found traveling through a few places, they have those old school lamps everywhere. And I remember in Prague specifically, in the Czech Republic, and they have those sort of really hard angled lamps that you see in Harry Potter and things like that, street lights and lamps, and they just emit this golden glow, and it's this really sort of soft light that they emit, the soft golden light, and that was captured perfectly in Red Dead. I thought it was amazing. It refracted nicely off the snow, and it looked gorgeous, and it just set the mood so well. So yeah, I really, really loved that. Third nomination we have is Forza Horizon 4. Now, I'm going to be honest, I only put this in because I thought we needed 3 nominees. Haven't played enough of this game to really give it a fair shake. But what I did play, the weather was awesome, and I know the seasons are a big part of that game. So I thought it's more of a shout out, really. I mean, obviously no one's going to vote for it because I was the only one who put it down there, and I'm not going to vote for it. So just shout out to Forza Horizon 4 and their good use of seasons in there. But where do you come down on these ones, boys?
Monster Hunter for me. I haven't played Red Dead 2, and when I've watched Hannah play it, the weather, I don't know, it hasn't impressed me. A lot of what you just said, Abe, you were talking about lighting and stuff from man-made sources, not weather. So,
yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good point.
So, the weather hasn't impressed me from what I've seen in Red Dead 2. But that said, Monster Hunter World is cheating as well because it's not natural weather. It's dragon-created weather phenomenon.
Yeah,
so I feel like there was no natural weather that was impressive in gaming this year.
Yeah.
My vote's for Monster Hunter World.
I mean, the previous year we had Uncharted 4, right? One took it out for the weather. And that was obviously extremely impressive. But yeah,
and then after that we have Breath of the Wild, and
that's right. Yes, we did. Yeah, Breath of the Wild, which used the elements phenomenally, and weather. But Regan, so you're obviously Red Dead. Balthazar,
here's the thing. I don't know, because I think the thing that we've typically given this award for in the past has been where either the weather is mind-boggling, which it's approaching that in Red Dead 2, but maybe not, or the weather relates to gameplay in some way. So Breath of the Wild, one strong nominee one year was Inside, where you had kind of that was the sound one. Never mind. If it relates to,
I was like, when did weather come into Inside? I don't remember.
Yeah, no, forget about it. I'm tripping. And so, in a way, I kind of like the idea of Monster Hunter World because of the weather relating to gameplay in such a tight way.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll give it to Monster Hunter World.
I'm honestly going to say, just because when you described it, Balthazar, I immediately thought of Pokemon. You've won me over with nostalgia, and I'm going to say Monster Hunter World as well. So congratulations, Monster Hunter World, for best use of bad weather. Moving on to our next category, we have the Ship Came Into the Harbour Award for Best Port or Remaster. Now, we have 3 nominees
You could have
here.
just called it The Ship Came Into the Port.
Yeah, people get the joke either way.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
hopefully. We have 3 nominees. We have Spyro Reignited Trilogy, which I've since found out that no one's played, so I'm not sure what that's doing on there. I played it for 9 minutes. That doesn't really count. We have Gwent, which I'm extremely interested to hear about because I haven't played that. And we have Sonic Mania, which controversial, but I'll allow it. It's not really a port or a remaster, but yeah, it can be debated. So, I mean, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, Regan, you haven't played it. I thought you had some miscommunication there. I played it for 9 minutes at Gamescom and it was okay. It was fine.
I think, but we know what we do know about it is that it's faithful, and that it runs well, and that it looks really good. And so, for that reason, I think it probably deserves to be there anyway, even if we haven't actually played it. It might not get our votes if we can't sort of back it, but I think it's probably still worthy of being there.
Fair play. And I'm definitely planning on playing that as soon as I can, sort of thing. Especially if it comes to Switch. But Balthazar, you put Gwent on here. Tell me about this, man.
Yeah, so I struggled to think something for this, and I think Gwent counts because it is technically porting an element of The Witcher 3 into its own standalone game.
Oh, yeah.
So kind of, I'm going to give it that. It's a really good reimagining of that card game. They took the basic elements of it and then expanded on them immensely to actually make it viable as its own game that's purely that, without, any other aspect to it. They're very generous in the game with giving you cards. You unlock packs constantly through playing, so it's not like sort of Hearthstone where it's pay to win, like you need to drop money to get cards. You get a lot just from playing. Almost every card is viable in a deck as well. Like, you're not getting just everyone online is running the same cards, because that's just the strongest thing. Like, everything is viable. It's just very, luck based down to getting the right cards and stuff like that. But it's a really fun way to continue playing The Witcher if you don't want to play The Witcher, kind of thing. Like, if you've played a lot of it and you want to play something else, it's very easy to get animated versions of the cards rather than regular ones, which means they are playing out like little scenes in the game. And like when I have a Wild Hunt deck, so it's entirely soldiers from the Wild Hunt. So I've got like Imlerith and stuff like that, and he's like sitting on this giant throne, and he's just sitting there kind of twiddling something in his hand while all these mostly naked, as is Witcher fashion, like succubus demons are kind of wrapping themselves around him and stuff in awe of his eminence. And it's just like, it's cool. Whenever you play a card, there's these cool, if you've got an animated one, which I made my entire deck animated, like, it's just cool scenes coming out. It's easy to win. It's also easy to lose. It's just good fun. And I think it's a perfect reimagining of that small section of The Witcher 3 into its own standalone game.
Nice, man. Nice. And they have
Good
the
argument.
Thronebreaker single-player campaign thing, right, as well?
Which I've not yet played because I'm a cheap bastard. Like, it's like $60 or something, which is just like...
Is it really?
Yeah, it's like, I get that you've put a big story in it, and it's supposedly, it's CDPR quality writing and storytelling and everything, so I get that ultimately it is going to be worth it, but also, your gameplay is just a card game. Like, I'm not going to pay $60 for it. Yeah.
That's fair enough, man. Regan, you need to justify Sonic Mania to me, man.
That's going to be a difficult act to follow on, Gwen. So now let's think about Sonic. He's much loved.
Yep.
And he's had a bad fucking rap for a long time.
Yep.
Lots of terrible 3D attempts at making Sonic 3D, that sort of thing, and it's never really worked. They've never captured the speed of Sonic, that sort of thing. And this year we had Sonic Mania come back, which was essentially a fan-made game, which basically. I think is worth mentioning in itself. Come back, and I've put it here because I feel like it is a port, because it's got Sonic 1 and 2 levels and things in there, along with kind of a reimagining of a lot of the levels based on all the kind of rules and things that the fan made, the people that have built it have done. And it's perfect. It goes back to, that original 2D Sonic that works really, really well. It reminds you of the things that worked really well with Sonic, so the speed, the momentum, kind of, the loss of getting, just jumping at the wrong time and missing rings, or hitting a jumping piranha and losing all your rings, and, and a speed run going awry. The frustration of like ending up stuck in like a little area underwater and it counts down, and you've got that moment of panic where you're like, oh, I can't get out of here, and then he dies and goes boo and just falls down. It just brings back all of the best things about Sonic, builds on it, and is on Switch. So
that's definitely a big plus for it. Solid argument, man. I've realized that. I mean, I've played Spyro Reignited Trilogy for 9 minutes. I haven't really played any of these games. So, I don't know where my vote falls.
It's basically up to you here, Abe.
Yeah, I know, and that's why the pressure's on. Both extremely compelling arguments. I'm going to have to give it to Gwent, I think, Regan. Just because Balthazar's argument in that they ported part of the game rings true to me.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It makes sense. Yeah, and they've literally taken an element of the game and just fleshed it out. Basically, they've ported that element. Yeah. No, I was sort of fighting with myself for a bit there, but no, I'm going to give it to Gwent. So congratulations, Gwent, for the Best Porter Remaster.
Well done, Gwent.
Well done, Gwent. And good on your CDPR, as per usual. We move into this is a favourite. The biggest Hideo Kojima move not pulled by Hideo Kojima. Obviously, Mr. Kojima, known for his shenanigans. So we have only two nominees for this category. It's hard to get into this category. You have to do some pretty batshit insane stuff. So we have, this is a really recent one, Joker from Persona, announced for Smash Brothers Ultimate. This was, I'm not too familiar with Persona, but even I realised this is pretty strange. Like, it's a bit of an odd one. I remember the announcement with the Persona envelope popping up, and then it has the Smash seal on it. I was like, what the hell's going on here? It's a very strange inclusion. And Persona, correct me if I'm wrong, is a M-rated game, or like at least an adult game sort of thing. Yeah.
Which is interesting as well, because there's been adult content in Smash in the past. It's only now for Smash Ultimate that they toned down how sort of overly detailed Snake's buttocks are and stuff like that, because they literally just took his model from the GameCube Metal Gear Solid 1 version for twin Brawl or whichever one he was in first. And Hideo's love for Snake's ass, like that thing was pow. And so it's only now in Ultimate where they flattened Zero Suit Samus's ass. They were like, oh, this is, E for everyone. We should probably stop all the booty. They left Bayonetta's, strangely, because it apparently integral to her gameplay. But
she have like a butt slam or something.
I haven't tried her yet as a fighter. That's the weak argument that was made for why hers is still as it is. It's integral to her character. But yeah, it's interesting that they have with this one toned some stuff down, but then we're gonna start bringing stuff from higher rated series in anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just bizarre, right? There's no precedent for that franchise or anything existing in Smash.
Yeah, it's really odd. Maybe.
And I think the thing that gets me is the others I understand. Like, Snake seemed weird when he was announced, but it's like, well, Metal Gear was on NES. Like, Metal Gear as a franchise got its roots on NES. Cloud was put in. It's like, yeah, again, Final Fantasy got its roots on the NES. Like, whereas Persona has always been Sony. It's only recently they made a couple of random Persona games for DS. But its roots and it's always been Sony. So this one is particularly odd, but cool, because it's also like, sweet, give us Master Chief next or something. Like, you're doing whatever now, so let's go. I'm in.
Yeah. That would be really good. Yeah, it's I suppose I could tell it was insane, but not. I saw some reactions from people like Easy Allies and stuff. It was just they were losing their minds. They were just like, "Oh my god, Persona and Smash!" Like, "Oh shit, this is."
I think I'm looking for the amount of games that he's been popping up in lately. I'm looking forward to the next announcement. Just starting with that gruff voice, that telltale gruff voice, and going, "This is why I hate portals." And then it's like Geralt joins the fight, just randomly falls out of one of Yen's portals into the Smash arena.
Oh, but, we need Geralt. Yeah. We need Geralt and everything. He's in Soul Cal.
Oh,
he came into
work in the lore well too.
Something else he came into recently.
He's in Monster Hunter in January.
Hunter. That's right. That's what it is. Yeah. Nah, bring Geralt. Put Geralt in everything, man. While we wait for a new Witcher game, just put him in everything. The second nominee we have for this category is CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 2077, sorry, and the quote-unquote hack of the Xbox E3 conference where they revealed Cyberpunk 27. Well, they revealed that it was actually being... Everyone knew it was there, but it was sort of the first full reveal that it was coming sometime soon, sort of thing. This was amazing. I got the shivers when this happened. I mentioned it on the podcast we did for E3. I knew it was coming because Phil Spencer talked about it at the start. We're working from teams from Spain and Poland. I was like, "There's your boy. Here it comes." Yeah. We got Cyberpunk incoming. But man, it was cool when the screen just when he kept talking and they executed it so well and it did the whole like command prompt thing, and just. They typed in that word red and the people lost their minds, including myself. Yeah. So good.
I think it was just for me, it was the scope of it. Like, it happened on the biggest stage at E3.
Yeah.
It was done in an unexpected way. It was announcing something big that everyone was excited for. They have goodwill amongst, the gaming community, much like Kojima has.
Yep.
I don't know. I just feel like it has all of those hallmark things that a Kojima moment needs to have. Add
in the element. I just remembered that they gave out a bunch of Witcher 3 codes in the scroll, in the prompt scroll. That's an extreme. I mean, that's an Easter egg, right? That's a Kojima moment, right there.
Big time.
So yeah, I mean, those are the two nominees. My vote goes for Cyberpunk. I think that was pretty nuts. Like, it was a cool moment. It was a strange moment. Unexpected if I hadn't heard the word Poland, but I just thought it was amazing. Balthazar, where do you come down, man?
I think the CD Projekt one was awesome. There was a lot of Hallmark Kojima things in there. I think the only thing it was missing from a Hallmark Kojima moment is the element of surprise. I actually don't think anyone was surprised it was there before E3 started. The majority of the internet was saying Cyberpunk's going to be here this year and it's going to be at the Microsoft conference. So it was like, it was not at all odd that everyone was expecting it, and I think that's the only thing it's missing, which is the big thing where Smash picks it up. But I'm not sure. I think I'm going to give it Smash just so Regan has the difficult decision of breaking the tie.
Well, yeah, I mean, I argued quite strongly for Cyberpunk here, and my gut feeling is that they should get it because it has the majority of the things that we look for in the Hideo Kojima
it
awards,
had layers in that with those codes as well. I think that gives it layers, which is a very Hideo thing to do. Little weird little.
I think we're going to go for I think my vote's going to go for the
Cyberpunk
announcement.
2077. Nice man.
There
Congratulations, CD Projekt Red. You will always win something if you continue making games or just being around in the industry, CDPR. So keep doing it. Always win stuff on the OCG Awards. We move on to the Dodgy Posty Award for over-delivering in almost all areas. Speaking of CD Projekt Red, this was inspired by our previous awards show and the CD Projekt Red award for basically being, good dudes, really. So basically games that went above and beyond, games or people or anything really, that went above and beyond and delivered more than we were expecting of them. We have 3 nominees here. We have God of War, we have No Man's Sky, the revamp, complete revamp of that game, and we have Spearhead Games for releasing Omen Sight for free. Now, we'll get into God of War a little bit. This is a game that I expected big things from, but the scope of the world and the quote-unquote freedom it gave you, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect you to be able to row around and just tackle missions at your leisure. All the missions, I loved all the missions. All the missions I played were great. They all had that little DNA of The Witcher where they were all self-contained, great little stories that also wove into one another sometimes. And I didn't expect that from a God of War game. I expected something grounded and gritty after seeing the sort of reveal trailers and that everyone calling it, Dad of War and Last of Us inspired and all that sort of stuff. But I didn't expect the scope of that world at all. So I feel definitely over-delivered on that Santa Monica.
Yeah, I think there could be an argument made with God of War where the scope of the world was pretty big, but I think they did a really good job at using all of the moments that you... So, if you're traveling from area to area, there'd be a conversation or something that built on your relationships or the story and that kind of thing. So not only was the scope of it quite large for what people's expectations were, but they used that scope. They didn't waste the moments that you had there. There's just you could talk all about all the things that they did really well with God of War, but definitely deserving of being on this list for sure.
Nice, man, nice. No Man's Sky revamp. Now, I haven't played No Man's Sky since the dark days, let's say. But I just wanted to pop this on this list because they didn't cut it and run. They stuck around. They held their ground after all the death threats and shit like that, and they revamped the entire game. It almost looks like they rebuilt it from the ground up in a way or something. Like they added in everything people wanted plus more. They're still adding to it. They've rebuilt a lot of goodwill. I don't, after what a complete catastrophe the launch was, I wasn't expecting anything from them really. Like I was expecting them to just call it a day, change studio name and make new games sort of thing. But
I think it's a good example of genuine people doing genuine things and being honest with people. It's and this is what stinks about Bethesda, is that it doesn't have any kind of feeling of being genuine and being by real people.
Yeah.
Whereas this is kind of like they've gone, hey, radio silence for a good chunk of time. We fucked up. We didn't handle the release of this game very well, but we're going to support it. We believe in it. And yeah, like you say, it has built a lot of goodwill. If you jump on Twitter and have a look at the Hello Games Twitter feed, people love this game now. There are people who it's their thing. They get home at the end of the day, they sit down and they play No Man's Sky because it has that sort of nice kind of chilled feeling. You've got all the base building and things like that that they've added in. There's a bit of a story there now.
It's all multiplayer.
It's the multiplayer's happening. So yeah, hats off to them, I think, for sticking to their guns, exactly as you said, Abe, where they've stuck with it, they've believed in their product, and they've just done a good, genuine, human job of rebuilding things.
Good stuff, good stuff. And the final nominee was Balthazar. You added this one here, man. Spearhead Games releasing Omen Sight for free. Tell us a little bit about this.
So they didn't release the game for free. I got the game for free, and a few other people got the game for free. So what happened was Spearhead Games made this game called Stories, Path of Destinies. Very good game. And everyone who got 100% of the achievements in Stories was gifted a free copy of their new game as thanks for buying and playing their previous one and supporting their prior endeavors. So it costs about $25, even though I got a free code for it on Steam, because that's where I 100%ed it. I'm actually not going to play it on Steam. I'm going to give them the money anyway, because I want to play it on Switch. So I'm still going to give them the 25 and buy it on Switch anyway. And yeah, it's I'm going to just quickly run down the category and do the usual, hey, I may not win, so I'm going to try and cut down the competition. God of War did what they said. They said they'd make a good game. They did. No Man's Sky released a turd. They made it okay, but they kind of had to because they didn't deliver anything that they promised initially. And CD Projekt has never done that. Whereas Spearhead Games, they said they'd make a sequel to Stories. They did. They delivered on that, and they then did the very CD Projekt thing of rewarding loyal fans and being like, hey, thank you to those people who actually care, and went and gave it free to people who had supported them in the past without warning. It was just an email that turned up from them with a code in it. Yeah, I mean, the infamous things, like when you think about it, for God of War, fantastic game. Witch 3 was a fantastic game, but we didn't revere CD Projekt Red just for the quality of The Witch 3. It was the fact that all the DLC for it was free. It was the fact that after they hit a milestone, they just gave the whole game away for free to other people who didn't already have it. That at every opportunity and event they had, they gave away free codes for it. It's not about just making a good game. It's about being, as you said, for No Man's Sky, just good dudes as well.
Yep.
And the reason why No Man's Sky doesn't quite qualify is because they didn't initially make a good game. They made a piece of crap that didn't deliver on any of their promises. Yeah, you know.
You make a very valid point.
Yeah, it's pretty good argument there, man. Yeah.
So my vote's for Spearhead anyway.
Yeah, I think now that you really draw that line in the sand as far as like, yeah, what we're looking for with this award, I think that's fair enough. I'm willing to come along with you on Spearhead Games.
Yeah, I think I'm convinced as well. It's yeah, when you go outside of just the realm of the game into the additional stuff, the support, the way they talk to their fans, the free stuff they offer, sometimes sort of thing, that does echo CDPR more than any of the other ones. So yeah, I'm willing to concede to Spearhead Games as well. That's congratulations to them.
And now we've given also our obligatory indie dev award. So
Nice.
Yep.
Got that sorted. Excellent. So moving to the next one, the Feast of Frishon Award for Most Enchanting Soundscape. Frishon was something that I learned in the last couple of years. It's the feel. It's the descriptor for the feeling when you listen to a piece of music and it gives you chills, gives you the shivers.
Nice.
That's what that is. So the Feast of Frishon Award for Most Enchanting Soundscape. We have 3 nominees for this one. We have Red Dead Redemption 2. We have God of War again, and we have Hollow Knight on Switch. Yeah. So Regan, tell us about the sound in Red Dead Redemption 2, man.
So Red Dead, it kind of it hits the mark on everything. So voice acting is just phenomenal the whole way through. Environmental and nature sounds are incredible as well. It does that same thing that it does in the first Red Dead, where when you enter Mexico and that song
Jose
plays,
Gonzalez
and
song.
and it just nails the aesthetic of that moment. It does that, but it does it a couple times in this game as well. And it's the consistency and the quality across the whole game that I think makes this special. If we're talking soundscape specifically, though, to forget about like voice acting, that sort of thing, it has that really stark kind of just. It's the same thing that you got in the first game, where it's just the nature. It's just nature, because the whole aesthetic of the game is like it's a cowboy simulator, so you should be out there feeling like you're out in the wilderness.
Yeah,
and it just really works perfectly. When music does come in those moments, it's really subtle, and it serves to just kind of build the mood in a really easy kind of way. I just think it's all done super well to fit the aesthetic and the mood of the game, and is great.
I think just to add to that a wee bit, man, for me, where the soundscape really came into it was at my camp, sitting around with a bunch of people, listening to someone play the guitar, and you can sing. You can sing along with people. You can join in and sing, and just being under the stars, listening to how well they nailed the slight echo on everyone's voice, and you know, just all the natural timbres and stuff like that is just phenomenal, and how well the voices overlap. You know, that it sounds like everyone's singing the same song. Like, some people are out of tune slightly, some people are out of time slightly. It's all done so incredibly well, and that was the moment for me in Red Dead with the sound, where I was like, this is amazing. Like, listening with headphones to that was incredible. I literally felt like I was at a previous New Year's, where we were all sitting around a bonfire, you know, sitting around with a bunch of mates around a bonfire, having a sing along when someone has an acoustic guitar or something like that. I was just like, I'm back to that moment in time. So yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. I think it's a phenomenal soundscape in Red Dead 2. God of War, I wanted to give a shout out to. I love the dramatic orchestral scores in God of War. Absolutely phenomenal soundtrack in that game. I also just wanted to give a shout out to the voice acting, particularly Kratos, because I think the bass and the sort of what do you call the lowest tenor in the opera? I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but the real extreme bass that comes from Kratos' voice, where he's just like, boy, and he just.
Actually, that reminds me, a really good moment sound-wise in God of War is when the what's it called, the massive snake thing, the
world serpent.
The world serpent is talking.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
Yeah, that's pretty.
That
amazing,
is incredible.
Yeah.
With a good set of headphones. Oh, incredible.
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying when that. But he's such a chill dude. He's so chill.
Yeah.
I'm like, man,
Yes.
you're all good. And he's just like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Love it. And the final nominee, I just wanted to give this one a nomination because there's some really disgusting sounds in this game, and it really stuck with me. Hollow Knight on because I played it on Switch. I hadn't played it before, and I picked it up on Switch this year. Man, like, top class squelching in that game, eh? The squelching noises and the bugs when you kill them, and they're just the corpses are just knocking about. It's disgusting. It's so gross. And with a good set of headphones, again, it's amazing. It sounds like someone stirring a pot of macaroni cheese or something. Like, it's just that. Yeah. Wanted to give a shout out to. I didn't think it would win, but I wanted to give a shout out anyway. So where do you guys come down on these three?
For me, it's got to be Red Dead.
Yeah.
I think it's just it nails too much. It does too much right for it not to pick it up in this one.
Yeah, nice, man. I'm also a Red Dead. Balthazar.
The first shall be last is the one piece of music from this year that's had me stop what I'm doing to go find out what's going on in another room, because it's just so perfectly composed.
Yeah.
Soundscape is the only thing Red Dead 2 deserves to win anything in, so it'd be wrong for me to not give it to them in this one.
Nice. Was it a particular piece of music, or just one of their organic pieces that swirl in?
It was
and
a
out?
particular piece. It was it was a piece called "The First Shall Be Last" for a mission of the same name. And it's just like, Abe, I don't know if you've encountered it or not. You should look it up on YouTube or whatever after this. It's very Revolver Ocelot.
Oh, nice.
It's really cool. Yeah.
I'm in. Awesome. Well, congratulations to Red Dead Redemption 2 for the Feast of Friction Most Enchanting Soundscape. Right, we move into Strangest Games, Media, or PR Moment. 3 nominees for this one. We have the streamer Dr. Disrespect being shot at live on Twitch. So this is he's a pretty famous streamer. I'm not really familiar with YouTubers and streamers that much, but even I saw this pop up in the news and it was pretty insane. Like, I just wanted to put this here because it's the melding of the streamer culture, you know, the life of a streamer and the real world. Like, someone knew this dude was streaming, or at least knew where he lived and that he was a famous streamer. And obviously wanted their little 15 minutes of fame and shot his window upstairs. So it's just insane.
Brings a new meaning to the whole stream sniping thing, eh?
Yeah, touche, man, touche.
The weird thing as well is that this wasn't even the only instance this year of people being shot while a stream was running.
Yeah.
Because there was that whole tournament thing or whatever where someone just started shooting up a mall or something. Wow.
That was the Madden thing in Florida. That was fucked up. Don't even know about that. So Dr. Disrespect being shot at live on Twitch. I think he was shot at with an air rifle, so I don't think it was like a serious gun, but still, like, shooting at someone's house. That's pretty messed up. We have Kiefer Sutherland, Helena Bonham Carter, Brian Blessed, and Charles Dance appearing in Call of Duty DLC. Where did this come from?
So weird. It's one of those moments where when you see the trailer reveal for the content, you immediately pause and quickly go back a second to re-listen to the lines. You're like, I swear that was just Charles Dance talking. Like, what is this? And then it was him, and then it's a whole load of other people as well. Just bizarre. I called it at the time. I was like, it's the biggest waste of money, because it's literally for like me and 1 or 2 other people. You know, like, there are very few people who play Call of Duty who would appreciate those actors as well. And appreciate a performance by them. And at the same time, no one who appreciates those actors or a performance by them who doesn't already own COD is going to be like, I'm going to go out and buy COD because these people are in it. Because everyone is so strongly opinionated about Call of Duty. Either you love it and therefore already own it, or you just hate the core concept of it and the fan base and everything about it, so nothing's going to convince you to buy it.
Yeah.
So it's just, why? Why spend that amount of money and then turn around and say, sales underperformed from what we expected and we haven't made enough money? Is it, well, because you're doing shit like this? It's so weird, so strange.
It's funny, because the last time I remember, a celebrity popping into COD, apart from Kevin Spacey and his likeness and whatever one that was, Advanced Warfare or something, was the Snoop Dogg voice pack, which suits Call of Duty perfectly. Like, you couldn't ask for anything better than Snoop Dogg, like, scoring your activities, being like, oh, nice.
Like you hit a headshot and you just hear Snoop go 420 Blaze.
Yeah. He's like, nice Kazil, amazing. But I don't know why the super high caliber, like, thespian style actors.
And I mean, it fits where they put them. It's in an old, like, Edwardian manor in, like, the 1800s kind of thing. So it's like, they all fit the scenario. There's no arguments there. It's just odd.
That's really bizarre. And people like Charles Dance, especially, someone I wouldn't have thought would be... I mean, props to him. Maybe he is interested in video games. I don't know. But I wouldn't have thought he would even concern himself with it. Obviously making that bank, so good on him. Good on Charles Dance. And the final nomination we have for this category is Reggie Fils-Aimé, Phil Spencer, and Sean Layden on stage together at the Game Awards. They came out, all three of them on the stage. First time ever. The three big, the head honchos have come out simultaneously. They didn't really do much. They sort of just said, we're for the players. Or whatever. I think that's PlayStation's
we're
thing,
all
but,
working together to do we're all working together to bring cool stuff to people.
To bring play to players. Some bollocks, that sort of management speak, PR speak.
Yeah,
but
we're all going to try our best in 2019 to turn players into payers.
Yeah.
That's basically what they
said. Very good. Good. But yeah, that was strange. That was very strange. And
it was just awkward, right? It was just awkward the whole way.
It was a little bit awkward. Phil Spencer looked like a kid in a candy store, though. Man, he was having a whale of a time. He was, I mean, he's just a good dude. And he wants harmony between the consoles. Sean's all snooty and, PlayStation's on top, so Sean's like, don't need these chumps. What do I need these guys? Yep. And Reggie didn't even know where he was, so that was all right.
And Reggie's just like, it's a bit too predictable for Nintendo to get in on.
Yeah. So good. So where's your vote, fellas, on this one?
My vote is going to go for the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Just because
it was strange.
It was the awkwardness. It was the combination of all three of them because they all have quite distinct kind of oratory styles and they did not work well together and they looked awkward and they just seemed like they wanted to get it over and done with as quickly as they could. And it's also weird in those instances how they'll say something and then the audience is like and clapping at the wrong moments and they're like, this is not what I wanted you to clap kind of thing. It was just super weird to watch. So my vote's on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think as strange a media play as it was for those four big named actors to bring COD together, I think the thing that nobody saw coming was the three big heads of the dominant platforms at the moment.
Yep.
Getting on stage together at any point for any reason. So my vote's for that as well.
Yeah. Keeley must have really done something shady to get that to happen, eh? Like, I don't know how he arranged that, but good on him. I'm for that as well. I think that was bizarre, completely bizarre. And Regan, as you mentioned, the word of the day is awkward for that moment.
Yep.
It was extremely awkward. So congratulations to Phil Spencer, Reggie Fils-Aimé, and Sean Layden for awkward rapport, I guess, is what we congratulate them for. Moving on. We're getting towards the end. We're on the penultimate award, most baffling business decision. This is a returning favourite as well. We have the Nintendo Labo. Got it right this time. Thank you for the phonetic pronunciation in our Google Docs. We have Square Enix cancelled Final Fantasy XV's future after promising lots. Basically just said, no, not doing it anymore. Not doing anything to do with 15 anymore. It's we did our fishing game and we're done. So they're all good. We have Fallout 76. Most baffling business decision was releasing Fallout 76, a broken game that nobody wanted, and that wasn't fun. And yeah, that's our three. So Nintendo Labo. Let's talk about that again for a little bit. It's a strange one. That anything Nintendo makes sells, obviously, but this is an odd move.
It's for kids, right? It's for kids, and I think that's why we find it kind of baffling. Is that none of us have children, and while the Switch is really good for kids, they love the shit out of Nintendo Switches. It just doesn't click in our minds because we don't see that as a viable gaming. Thing.
Demographic
or just a gaming solution, I suppose. It doesn't seem like a game, I guess, or a video game.
It's something completely separate from that, it's a bold move from Nintendo, but again, another one of those things where, like them not including a voice chat in their online, you have to use your phone. You have to use your phone basically as a phone, which is just insane. But yeah, so that's Labo. Square Enix cancelled Final Fantasy XV's future after promising lots. Balthazar, what have they done?
It's just they just can't. They were just like, no, we're done. We're not doing more. we had a whole season 2 of DLC with like 4 characters you actually cared about and wanted stuff from, and we told you that was all under development and talked about what was going to be in it, but we're not going to do any of that anymore. It's just weird. And then they're like, oh yeah, so we cancelled all that stuff for the game. We're going to put out an anime about one of the side characters, though, that nobody cares about. I think Arden. Arden's getting an anime. Don't know why. It's just, it's baffling because Square Enix has already lost a massive amount of favour with the community just by pulling the stunts with 15 that they have so far. And what started to claw back people's, I guess, acceptance of what they were doing was that they actually made 15 a good game again by adding like all the content in the Royal Edition and stuff like that, and then saying, hey, now that we've made it good, now we're going to put out DLC and stuff to further expand on it and make it great.
Yep.
And people finally started to like them again, and then they're like, oh, nah, jokes. And then that's it. And it's not even like they've said, hey, we're cancelling it to focus on this or that or the other. It's like, oh, we're just cancelling it. We're not doing anything instead. We're just not doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty odd. So they basically just removed any goodwill they've built up from fixing Final Fantasy 15. But just saying, no, we're done.
By then just saying, yeah, we're not supporting it anymore. Also, not because we're making 16 or anything else, just we don't know what we're doing anymore.
just cause we're focusing on Kingdom Hearts entirely from now on.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy's done. And Fallout 76 releasing a broken game that nobody wanted that wasn't fun. So, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, that one, really. Regan, go on.
Oh, I was just going to sort of elaborate slightly. I mean, the engine's fucked. They didn't take any time to build a better engine, and we've known that for the last 3 or 4 years that engine is rubbish. They've tried to shoehorn multiplayer into it. They don't have any kind of... There's no story in there. The story is all done via holotapes that you collect, and that's not fun. The game's buggy and broken and just doesn't work. No one asked for a multiplayer Fallout. It's shitting all over the Fallout universe. And it's just not fun. Like, it breaks VATs, which is like a key thing in Fallout. Like, nothing. None of it works. None of it works at all. So, why do it?
Any goodwill. I mean, people didn't really like Fallout 4 much. I enjoyed what I played of it, but the hardcore Fallout community did not enjoy Fallout 4. They weren't a fan of it. But then to bring out something that's even worse. it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. At least the sin Fallout 76 didn't commit is it didn't say on the back of the box, go anywhere you want and do anything you want. It was honest. You can go to 2 places and do one thing.
You're never going to let that go, are you, Balthazar? I remember you bringing that up when it released. Yep, go anywhere, do anything. Yeah, that is pretty bullshit. Where do you guys come down on this one? Most baffling business decision?
Mine's easy for this one. It is Square Enix because I don't care enough about the Labo for it to confuse. I don't look at it and go, what were they thinking? I should look at it and go, that's a thing that exists. And Fallout 76 is shit, but not in any way to me baffling. They capitalized on putting in minimum effort to put out another game that sold incredibly well, and it didn't matter that no one liked it. They got the money. It was a quick cash grab, and it worked for that. It makes perfect sense. They released a shitty game in an online format so that once you've used your code to actually realize the game is shit, you can't get a refund because the code is one-time use. Like, True. They don't have to return anyone's money for purchases of that not game. Like, it's a nothing. To me, that doesn't baffle me. The only one here that I personally don't understand what they're doing is Square Enix, so that's my vote.
Fair enough. I'm still going to need to give my vote to Bethesda and Fallout 76 because they must know, they've got to know that their engine's rubbish and that the amount of favour they have from people is also dropping off. They've got to know that. They have to have some kind of NPS score that they're tracking kind of thing. And to do this is just a big middle finger to all of their fans and to people's expectations. And you can't just carry it, like, you need... There's capital in having favorability in amongst gamers, and it just doesn't make any sense to me to do something like this when they know they're on the back foot as far as that goes. yeah, so I've still got to vote for Fallout 76.
But didn't you hear Todd Howard? It just works.
Yeah, yep.
Todd Howard's a liar.
Don't believe his lies, yeah.
Maybe that should be up there. Todd Howard's continued employment at Bethesda is a baffling business decision.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think about these a bit more. Bethesda, for me, bought a lot of goodwill, not from their development, but from their publishing. Publishing things like Doom, publishing things like Wolfenstein and Wolfenstein 2, Wolfenstein New Order and Wolfenstein 2, which I absolutely loved. They've brought back a lot of goodwill after trying to put Skyrim on your toaster and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Stuff that was blatantly really gross, but they made it sort of winky, which was funny, but also like, we can see through what you're doing here. Yeah, I think to release Fallout 76, and I know basically all games developers do this, to release Fallout 76 in the state that it was, they knew it was broken, and people do when they release Assassin's Creed Unity. When that came out, they knew it was broken. They just had to get it out the door because it had to be released in a certain financial quarter. It had to be released, you know, when the board of directors wanted it to, when the stakeholders wanted it to. But to release two things that angered the fan base in a row, and they actively knew that that they didn't know Fallout 4 was going to piss people off as much as it did. They knew. I can't see how they wouldn't know that Fallout 76 would piss people off. It's basically what they're doing is basically calling their fan base complete morons, right? They're saying we're just going to release this. You'll buy it anyway because you just buy. You're just loyal to us and you buy whatever shit we churn out. So yeah, like I think that's a pretty bizarre move. Like, they are at the bottom of the goodwill pyramid at this point, right? There's no one really lower than them at this point in time, I would say.
Maybe Activision.
Yeah, I'd still I don't know, but what's Activision done recently that's sort of
bought two beloved developers and forced them to churn out shit that nobody asked for and that's bad? I.e. Bungie and Blizzard.
Yeah, fair play. Actually, Activision Blizzard's been going for a while though, right? They bought them.
But it's since they've been shit. Like, Blizzard has been shit since Activision acquired them, because they're just like, nah, just get it out the door. Put microtransactions in it.
Yeah, fair play. I think I'm gonna have to stick with Fallout 76 because I want it to win two bad awards because I think it deserves it. I want it to have two OCG Razzies for all intents and purposes. And I don't think it deserves any acclaim whatsoever. So congratulations, Fallout 76.
I don't know if I should be clapping for this, but
baffling. Yeah.
Boo.
We get to the moment. We get to the outstanding achievement in the field of excellence, aka Game of the Year. It's the big one. We each have a nominee. Obviously, we're not going to agree. We can't vote on it. We just each have one nominee that we're gonna talk about for a little bit. I mean, what's left to say? It's been a pretty good year for gaming. I wouldn't say it's been as good as. I mean, we've had good games, but last year I remember it being like bangers the whole way through, starting with Resident Evil 7 and continuing on. This year's we've had Spider-Man, God of War, Red Dead. Obviously,
been serviceable.
It's been serviceable. Yeah. Most months have had one pretty good game coming out at least, sort of thing. But I mean, enough beating around the bush, fellas. Balthazar, do you want to tell us what your game of the year is, man?
So my game of the year was a hard toss-up between two. And eventually I landed on one for a reason that will become apparent. So my game of the year for 2018 is Detroit Become Human.
Good call.
Nice.
Great game.
And there's so many things... Give me a clap as well. Good on you, David Cage. You got what you always wanted. There are a lot of things in the game itself that you can go into that are what make it great. The performances from all the actors are stellar. The story is good. The gameplay in the scenes where you actually play and don't just, look around and talk, like the action sequences and stuff are cool and they feel badass when you pull them off. But the thing that really put it over the edge to me this year was the effect it had on me, like outside of the game. There was a moment in this game. It's been out for a long time now, so I'm going to talk semi-spoilers in that it's not super specific, but it is a moment from within the game where you go into a broadcast tower and you have to broadcast a message to the general public. And during that, I let some people go because I didn't want to kill anyone. So I was like, cool, evacuate everyone out so we can give our message. And the people who got out raised the alarm and security came. And one of the people in my group got shot. One of the androids got shot. And so we escaped to the roof and we're going to jump off it because we got parachutes. And he's just like, I can't make the jump. You have to leave me. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to shoot you because, like, in the head, because we can't, you know everything. We can't risk them, tapping into your head, getting all your information, learning where we are, learning all our plans. Got to shoot you. And it was just that moment when the character looks back at you. I said, got to shoot you. I have no choice. And the character looks up and just says, you always have a choice. And that moment in that game in particular, which is all about humans' poor treatment of androids and treating them as lower class citizens, even though you are playing as an android and you love your main character, Marcus, you're like, this dude's awesome. I'm all for, rights for androids and fuck how humans have been treating them. They deserve to be treated better. Yet when it came down to it, immediately my brain was just like, he's just an android. His life isn't important. So I was going to shoot him. And when he looked up to me and he was like, you always have a choice, I really, I finished the level and everything went on normally, but for the rest of the day when I was walking around thinking, I was just like, I was thinking about life, what it is to truly be alive, what sentience is, what consequences are of actions you make, what a choice is, and just everything. And I was like, this game shook me as a person. I questioned my own belief system, my own choices, how I thought and interpreted the world around me as a person, which I believe is what David Cage has always wanted to do with his games. Not just make a game, but make a game that actually has people question life itself and how they move through life and choices they make. And for that reason, Detroit, for transcending games as a medium, is Game of the Year for me.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
Excellent.
When you were talking about the android who said you always have a choice, I just imagined in my head that just like David Cage's face on this android, being like, "I'm speaking to you, player. I'm talking to you right now. Like, you always have a
written
choice."
on the back of the box.
Yeah. Awesome, man. That's cool. I've been dying to play that game. I really, really want to play that game. Wish it was on something other than PlayStation because it makes it tricky. But I'm definitely going to get around to it. Regan, what do you got for us, man?
No beating around the bush. My game of the year this year, which was a difficult decision as well, I've decided, for better or worse, to give it to Red Dead Redemption 2. Well done, Rockstar. Well done. This is my game of the year because I want to start by saying it's not perfect. It's not a game that will be for everyone. There are elements of this game that are flawed. There's a lot of time spent just riding around on horses, and that's not necessarily everyone's thing. But I think there are some brave decisions that were made as well. Like Rockstar have come off GTA 5, which is all about just being bombastic and over the top, and sort of talking about the excess of America and all that sort of thing, and Red Dead is a real change of pace, and it's a brave change of pace, I think, to put a whole lot of investment into a game where you spend a lot of time riding and you're a cowboy, and it really takes its time, I think, is really brave. So all of those kind of things, tells a really good story. The characters are great. There's lots of nods to the original game for those fans, plus the technical excellence of the game for me is pretty cool to behold. So for all of those reasons, Red Dead Redemption 2, well done. You are my game of the year for 2018.
Nice, man. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I was weighing up a few, and it's not going to be it's not going to be really that surprising what's my game of the year. I've been thinking about this game since I played it, and I've been thinking about one element in particular, and that's the weapon that you use in this game. And I think it might be my favorite video game weapon of all time. This weapon is... They just nailed it so well. The weight of this weapon, its use, how it looks, the customization, its meaning, and the weapon is the Leviathan Axe. And my game of the year is God of War. And
Nice.
Thank you. God of War was one of those games that when you start it, you can tell the level of quality that's coming, sort of thing. From the opening moments of this game, spoilers, the first fight with the stranger, I was just blown away. Like, this level of quality isn't achieved by entire games, and this game has it in the first 10 minutes. Like, it is absolutely insane. I had no frame rate issues with this game. I had no technical issues with this game. It had humor in it, which is amazing. Like, not something I expected from a God of War game. Like, legitimate humor that I laughed at. I laughed a lot at those blacksmith brothers who had just constantly had that good sort of banter. It had lots of... It was grounded well. It had lots of pathos in it. It had a phenomenal soundtrack. I didn't hate... Basically an escort mission, right? But I didn't hate it. I hate escort missions, and I did not hate God of War. What's his face did a really good job. The little boy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. No, can't remember. Atreus. That's the one. He did a good job as a asset, as opposed to a burden, which is basically every other escort mission game around. I thought Atreus was awesome. He added something. He added a layer to the combat as well. You could shoot people with the bow. I used him all the time, just using his square attack with the bow and distracting big giants and stuff like that. I thought the way it told the story was amazing. I haven't had a game where I've just been thinking about... My imagination was on fire with theories while I was playing this game. I was like, oh shit, what if... Insert crazy theory. What if all the worlds are actually the same, and this world is all fucked up? It's actually Greece, but they're all existing simultaneously, and there's like some quantum thing going on. I was just like, my mind was just going crazy with theories while I was playing this game. It was like, my god, and the ending was awesome. Like, how it wrapped up and stuff was really good. I wish it had been one of my theories, because I thought that was really cool, but I won't spoil what happens. But yeah, I don't think it could have been done better, in my opinion, this game. And as I mentioned earlier, in the first half of our end of year podcast, that the scope of the world was huge. I was not expecting any of that sort of stuff. There's characters like the World Serpent, who I'll never ever forget. I think he's an amazing character. Even he doesn't have a huge amount to do, but just the way you feel his size. Like, you riding your little boat past the World Serpent, you're about as big as one of his entire scales or something like that. And the boss fights were all the dragon boss fights were amazing, and all the ice level. Usually hate ice levels. This game, amazing ice section in it. Yeah, I could talk about this game for years and years, but that's my game of the year, and I think it's phenomenal. And Cory Barlog is the man, and he will always be the man. He seems like a genuine human being, and he's probably half the reason I like this game so much, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Right, well, that's our game of the years, and that's the end of the Overcast Gamer Show for the year of 2018. That's our very last episode for the year. So thank you, anyone, new, old listeners, viewers. We went into the video this year. So thank you everyone for tuning in, as per usual. We'll be active on the social medias over the holiday break. We won't be doing a podcast until sometime in the new year, but we will be posting our usual bullshit on all the social medias. So check us out on Facebook, Overcast Gamer, YouTube /Overcast Gamer, and the website overcastgamer.com. And until then, have a wonderful Christmas and New Year's, and we will see you again in a month. Bye-bye.
Bye.